Hey there, gang, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man sitting next to me had a Golden Girls trapper keeper when he was in grade school, and his name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, I used to hang out with Wade Wilson when we were younger, and we only, like the ladies did with the Beatles in the 60s. We did that with the Golden Girls. Yeah. He chose to be Arthur.
Yeah.
I took Sophia.
Yeah? I can just see you writing I Heart Sophia on your trapper keeper.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
We were going to belong to that gang, but you know, we were young.
Oh, man.
Our hearts were just soaring. It was
so good.
Summer of Love.
How do we derail in the first minute of the show?
I have no idea.
We've not even started, and we are off the rails. Oh, man. All right, Mike. We got some movies to talk about, because that's what we do. And I'm going to get us started with a movie on the marquee this week called Middle School, the worst years of my life.
Nice pronouncing the colon.
Thank you.
I like that.
I believe in pronouncing all of those. This is a movie based on a book series by writer James Patterson from director Steve Carr. And it is about this young man named Rafe, played by Griffin Gluck. Rafe is a kid who's been tossed out of several schools, and he lost his younger brother. His younger brother tragically passed on. And he loves drawing characters. He is an artist, and that is kind of like his thing. He loves doing that, and he loves daydreaming. Yeah. He is placed into this new school. It is your last chance. This is the last school. We don't know what we're going to do with you if you don't make it into the school. And the school has very strict rules. The school is the principal, played by Andy Daly there. He is a stickler for violations. He likes quoting the rule book. His staff, led by the comedian actor Retta, likes to, they're kind of the right-hand man to enforce said rules. He's at school. An old friend of his, Leo, is also in the school. Last chance. He's had a rough time thrown out of previous schools. His buddy Leo's there. And Leo kind of likes to start stirring up trouble. Yeah. Leo kind of tells Rafe, hey, you got to do this. Break the rules, man.
A little bit of an instigator.
Rules aren't for everyone. We learn that. And everyone in the school is afraid of the principal. They're afraid to break rules. There's the cool teacher in here, of course. Yep. You have your typical bully in here that bullies Rafe. Yeah. And at one point, of course, we're going to have to fight back. It's time to fight back against the rules, fight back against the administration. Damn the man, we're going to take it all down.
If someone's stifling your creativity, you got to let your creativity go.
Right. And so Rafe and Leo and the gang that he starts to get together decide to start throwing rules in the principal's face. We're going to start breaking every rule you have, and we're going to take you down from the inside. And then you also have a side plot with his mom, played by Lauren Graham, and her new boyfriend, Bear, played by Rob Riggles. Bear does not like kids. No. He is a typical dirtbag.
He plays the typical character Rob Riggles usually
Rob Riggles plays that guy a lot. Yeah. And kind of the one big thing with this movie is that Rafe's drawings come to life. He has a vivid imagination, daydreams constantly, and slips into this daydreaming world where his animation comes to life, kind of like a Better Off Dead type of situation. And, you know, we try and take down the principal.
All right.
What do you think of this movie?
I really was not a movie for me at all. I thought it was kind of, it needed to either be wackier or it needed to be more serious. There was some really great moments with Andrew Daly, who I thought pretty much was the star of the movie, great. Even though he wasn't the star of the movie. I really didn't like the Rafe character, which made it even harder for me to enjoy. He kind of seemed like a little jerk kid, and along with his friend who was just oddly disproportionate to
well, and that's kind of the thing is, so I love Andy Daly. He's a hilarious actor. I thought he was perfect as this principal.
And Retta was really good, too.
Retta was good. I thought Rob Riggle was good. He did what you need him to do. I have a large soft spot for Lauren Graham in my heart. I love some Gilmore Girls. But the Rafe character specifically, as I get done watching the movie, and I'm like, so you want me to root for screw the rules.
Yeah.
Like, that's the message we're going with. And yeah, I know it's outlandish and crazy and how strict they are and everything, but this kid is like, all I do is daydream and want to draw. I don't want to do anything else. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on your side, man.
Yeah.
Let's screw the rules. You've been kicked out of a bunch of schools before.
It's not
you
like,
got it, buddy.
It's not like we can't enjoy movies that say screw the rules. There's a lot of movies that do this. It's just this done it in a very uninteresting, uncreative way, which is kind of weird because the whole movie is based about thinking outside the box and
right.
just really letting your creative flag fly. But this felt like a lot of Disney made-for-TV movies for me. Where they dress up middle schooler girls with too much makeup, and everybody's cooler than they really are in middle school.
And somebody's a wizard.
Yeah, and and they're fighting against the man, and it just, and there was like some points where they went into the animation where it was like, okay, I see a trailer filled with compost. I've seen this in all movies. We know that compost is going to end up on the guy that's chasing them. And then we go through this huge animation scene that I felt was really kind of pointless just so we could get the end result, which we all knew was going to happen because this movie really didn't think out of the box like it wants everybody else who's watching it to do.
Right, absolutely. There's a twist in the final act of the movie that...
Yeah.
It's okay.
But I didn't care about the characters enough to care about the twist.
I'm with you 100%. So what did you ultimately give Middle School?
I gave it a 2. I would have gave it higher if it was called Andrew Daly plays Principal Dwight, but they didn't do that. They didn't utilize him enough, and they just stuck with the story. Sure. I didn't care for it.
Sure. I gave it 2.5 stars.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was, meh. There were characters like Andrew Daly, Rob Riggle, I like those, Lauren Graham, the rest of it, you can give or take. Yeah. Nothing special. Moving on, though, what else do you have on the marquee this week?
Well, we have Birth of a Nation. It was bought by Fox, so it was a Sundance film. I think it
a Sundance legend.
Yeah, yes. I believe it broke some records. What we have here is Nate Parker. A lot of controversy about him. We're not going to go into that right now. Yep. He wrote and directed this film. He also starred, obviously.
His debut.
Debut. He plays Nat Turner, and it's about Nat Turner's life. It's based on a true story, as of a lot of other movies that claim they're based on true stories. Some of it's true, some of it's not.
There was a guy named Nat Turner once.
There was a guy named Nat Turner, and he had a revolution. He was a slave. He was literate. He, in this movie, he learns the Bible very well, and he preaches it to the other slaves at the plantation he was in. Samuel Turner, who is played by Armie Turner.
Armie Hammer.
Or Armie Hammer, sorry. He's a little down on his luck, and the plantation is not doing very well. In order to get some extra money, he pretty much hires out Nat Turner to other slave owners to preach the gospel to their slaves, usually passages from the Bible that says slavery is good, obey your masters, you'll go into heaven, and stuff like that. Must have worked because he made quite a profit. The problem is Samuel Turner, it compromised his morals. His plantation, even though slavery was evil and terrible, this was kind of, it felt like an island of good, where the slave owners treated the slaves like human beings, where everywhere else off this island, it was torture and chaos.
Right. And we get to see several scenes of that.
Very brutal scenes.
Yeah.
And ultimately it ends in the revolution.
Yeah.
But what did you think?
So there was a lot going on in this movie. I mean, you know, you have Nat Turner, who's told as a young boy that he's going to be a prophet.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really powerful scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
There's moments where, okay, Nat becomes smitten with this slave who comes in named Cherry. They marry, he falls in love. The fact that he was leased out to kind of serve these masters to quell potential uprisings on other plantations, and how after a while it started to really conflict with him that he was being used as a tool, basically against his own people. I like that. I like that element.
That's one of the things I like both about Nat Turner's and Samuel Turner's characters in this movie. It wasn't cut and dry like a lot of slave movies where the slaves were always wanting their freedom and the slave owners were always evil. You got to see a transformation. And the actors did a really good job at showing that transformation, as Samuel Turner had to compromise his morals and take, Nat Turner was a slave, but also I think he thought of him as a close friend. Right. They grew up together as children, and as he was compromising his own morals, he was kind of killing his morals. And you saw the slow transformation of a man who was somewhat decent, as far as decent can go for a slave owner, to someone who compromised everything he believed in, and he was starting to be just like everybody else around him.
Right, and ultimately there's a betrayal in this that kind of lights the fuse for Nat Turner.
Yeah.
And he decides to form this small group, lead a revelation, take down slave masters. You know, I like the moments where you see Nat Turner realizing that his faith had kind of brought him through all of this, and his faith had kind of brought him and other people through so much, and that same faith he knew was going to lead him to trouble.
Yeah.
He knew it was going to bring bad things upon his life, but I have to do this. There are certain moments in this movie where he's like, I know this is going to end poorly for me, but I have to do it. If I'm preaching this way, this is the way I have to do it.
And I liked watching that transformation of character too. In the beginning of the movie, Nat Turner was kind of meek, obedient, and it wasn't all of a sudden, it was slowly. You saw him. There was a scene where I almost came down to crying because it was so brutal, and I could feel the emotion that Nate Parker wanted people to feel. It was after he had to preach to a bunch of neighboring slaves, and these people used them like machines. And if a machine doesn't work, you go in and you fix it any way you can.
Yep, just keep it working.
It was so sad. And the emotion that Nate Parker was able to give Nat Turner when he was preaching, it was devastating.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of really striking imagery of what was accepted as quote-unquote the norm back then. And I thought Armie Hammer was really good. I don't care for him normally. I think he's really a vanilla actor. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I thought Nate Parker was really good as an actor. My issue is with Nate Parker as the director and screenwriter, because I could feel this was a guy doing it for the first time. He fell into a lot of Hollywood cliches.
Yeah.
Especially in the third act. You get to the rebellion scene you see in the trailers momentarily.
Yep.
And it was brutal momentarily, but he really fell right into the cliches of, he didn't break any new ground. My issue with this movie is that there's powerful moments, there's beautiful moments, there's heartbreaking moments, but there's no groundbreaking moments. I've seen this story told over and over and over again. I saw this story in an Academy Award-winning movie 2 years ago. I don't think Nate Parker broke any new ground, and that kind of frustrated me because he had such a platform, being the Sundance darling, having so much attention placed on him, for right or for wrong. He's got some serious issues, but it drew eyes to this film, and I felt like the screenplay fell into a bit of mediocrity in parts. And there, like I said, there's great scenes, there's great sections, there's great moments, but for the most part, he fell into kind of a well-worn rut, and I was really frustrated with that.
I really thought the character development was above. I enjoyed this movie more than I did 12 Years a Slave, if that was the one that you're referring to.
That's one of many.
But I did have some problems with some of the directing styles. As you know, I hate the overuse of the blue filter. It washes out all the color. When you do it too much, it loses any meaning at all. It just washes away the feeling.
Yep.
And they did that heavily during the battle scene, and it was
very much
to the point where you couldn't see anything else. And I'm thinking, wow, why can't you do this like this battle scene or this battle scene or this battle scene? Just show what it is instead of using this blue filter thing that's been really popular with movies for the past like 4 or 5 years.
Sure.
The overuse of it. There were some plot holes. I couldn't quite figure out how Nat Turner was supposed to escape and return and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, there was, like I said, there's a lot of it that I really liked, and I was really impressed by Nate Parker as an actor. I was really impressed by him, and I did enjoy it. I just wish that he would have. I wish he would have gone for it all. I wish he would have gone for the gusto and not settled into a comfortable pair of shoes in certain parts.
Well, I think you're right. This was his first big project, and something he was obviously really proud of. He invested a lot of.
It feels like he bit off too much for a first-time writer, director, actor combo.
I think in order for him to fill those holes, he looked at what everybody else was doing and tried copying that. But the ideas that was strictly his, I think, shined really, really good.
I agree. Ultimately, I gave it 3.5 stars.
Right.
I really enjoyed it, but I did feel like I'd seen a lot of this before. So
I probably would have given it a 5, but there was a lot of those little things, newbie mistakes. I ended up giving it a 4.5. I thought it was a very solid, powerful film.
Yeah, go check it out. You know, there's a ton of controversy surrounding him as a person. Don't leave your drinks around him, but you know, it's a movie worth checking out.
It's it's kind of like that Mel Gibson thing. You know,
hey, you want to talk about Mel Gibson?
Because of Mel Gibson, you don't like him as a person, or?
I saw a Mel Gibson movie this week called Bloodfather. We're not reviewing it, but I rented it recently. Really good movie. Yeah. Really good movie. Well worth checking out in your Redbox.
But I probably would never want to hang out with.
Yeah, he's not a great guy, but good movie. All right, last movie we have on the marquee this week is a movie based on a book that shocked the world.
Never heard of it.
The Girl on the Train, from director Tate Taylor. It stars Emily Blunt as a girl named Rachel. Rachel she rides a train back and forth, commuting to work every day. She is voyeuristic. From the window of her train, she really is obsessed with a certain house and a certain couple that lives within this house. The house is owned by her. We find out her ex-husband, Tom, played by Justin Theroux, and his wife, Anna, played by Rebecca Ferguson. And they have a nanny, played by Haley Bennett. The nanny is a lady named Megan. Rachel has begun stalking her ex-husband, Tom. She constantly shows up at the house for various reasons. Rachel is also a drunk. She's got some issues with her life. She's got serious depression. The issue,
pathologically lying.
Yeah. Well, the issue is that Rachel is the narrator in this film. So you right away, you know, right from the start, you have an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating to watch. And is when I really don't like that. Megan, the nanny, turns up dead. And Rachel thinks she knows who did it. The cops think Rachel did it. There's a whole thing. Megan's husband, boyfriend, whatever he is, played by Luke Evans, he's involved for a moment, and there's all this going on. There's supposed mystery being built throughout the movie.
Yeah. And they did the typical mystery stuff, but
the problem is that I didn't care about any of these characters. I thought Emily Blunt did the best she could with this character.
Yeah.
But I thought that the writing in this film was just weird. Everyone in this movie is flawed. Everyone in this movie is selfish. Everyone in this movie is a bit of a monster. So I couldn't empathize with anyone.
But that was all part of the mystery. And you have to do that with every mystery. Cast suspicion on everyone. Otherwise, if you know who it is, if you have a man in a hat, and one man dies, it's not an interesting story. Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
They've used this weird use of these timeline markers, like 4 months ago. 9 months ago, and I'm like, okay, should I be trying to keep track of these? I'm like juggling all these pieces that you're giving me, and none of it fit right. You know, like none of the puzzle pieces quite fit right. They spent a lot of time introducing the wife in the beginning of the movie, Anna, the new wife, and her issues with Rachel showing up to the house, and they spend a lot of time and then they throw her character out the window for the final 45 minutes of the movie. And she's just not even really a part of it. Let's just write her out of the movie, basically. Like,
let's talk more about the lady who died.
You built this weird thing. There's a big psychosexual part of this movie that comes into play. There's possibly the worst therapist you could go see is in this movie. He's a monster.
Well, I'm not even sure about that either, because you were taken from a narrative that was flawed. So we kind of got introduced to him. They did the typical mystery thing where they pointed a finger at him, then they took that finger away, and you never talked about him again.
Exactly.
Very, very
They did the same thing with Luke Evans. I mean, it was like, and then there's this guy. There's this guy. I mean,
but that's typically bad mystery type stuff.
You know, the thing is, this movie keeps getting compared with Gone Girl. Everywhere I've been hearing it, it's a natural comparison, right? I mean, because it is a similar style and based on a huge book series. The problem is Gone Girl was really well written, really well acted, they gave up the mystery in the middle of that movie. And then, you know, like the whodunit is done 45 minutes in. Where are we going from there? This movie,
the huge difference between Gone Girl and this movie is Gone Girl was based on making Gone Girl a movie, where this is based on a book that did really well, and they wanted to get all those little intricate parts of it, and it didn't work out. There's some things that work for books, some things that work for movies. You can't try to do it all. It's really tough.
It felt like they wanted to build some big climax, and it just fell apart. And I mean, if I was worried about cliches in our previous movie, this movie was deep into cliche land at the end.
I did think the characters were interesting. I was interested. I think the major flaw for me was the pacing. And it wasn't just me. There was a funny part in the movie theater, not the movie, but someone snored for a good 15 minutes.
That's always good when you get that first big ripping snore.
But everybody is laughing, and really that's the most of the emotion. I really didn't care for the acting either. I thought everybody portrayed their character one way. Every character was very flat.
When there's one moment towards the end where they have Emily Blunt as Rachel really drunk, and it was comical. I don't know who directed her. Like, this is what a drunk person does.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever been drunk.
It was silly. I love Emily Blunt, and I thought that in the beginning of the movie, I thought she was doing really well. She looked really like she'd been beaten down by life. She had this soulless look in her eyes. There's some moments in this movie. There's a moment with Haley Bennett's character Megan in a bathtub that I really thought was pretty interesting.
And then they just
that was kind of tragic. That's thrown away. And that's the problem is this movie, first off, it treats depression, mental illness, and alcoholism like they're punchlines.
Yeah.
That was like really, we're using it as just a plot device. And just the characters I didn't care. They're trying to throw red herrings at me left and right. And I'm like, I can't do anything with all this.
See, as they kept on throwing it out, I was interested. No, I was interested in the movie. I'll never watch it again because the pacing was bad, and all the things I was interested in, they didn't finish. And I'm sure these were all things that were done really well in the book, and you really could understand it in the book, but in the movie, it did not pan out the way the director wanted it to.
It really fell flat. And I was really interested by this, but yeah, no thank you. What did you end up giving this movie?
I give it a 2.5. I thought it was average. I could sit through it. There was parts I was interested. When I left, I didn't feel like I saw anything great.
Yeah.
I just thought I passed some time.
And I thought I was being generous by giving it 2 stars.
Yeah?
I thought 2 stars is a generous score because I didn't like this movie. I thought it was poorly done. But there's moments in here. I really like Allison Janney. It's nice.
Yeah.
I like seeing her as the investigator. But as far as the movie and the mystery, I've seen 1,000 better mystery movies, better done, more interesting.
If anything, it served as a good device to make me think, maybe I'll read that book. But
you know what it served for me? Again. It served as a great device for our movie throwback this week.
Oh!
That's right.
Nice transition.
That's a segue. We are throwing back to 1987, another movie about somebody on a train. We're talking about Throw Momma from the Train. Oh, man. By director Danny DeVito.
That is crazy.
It's starring Danny DeVito as a man named Owen, Billy Crystal as a man named Larry. Larry is a writer who is struggling with writer's block, trying to come across, dealing with his ex-wife who recently left him. He's a bit obsessed with her, just like Rachel was.
Well, she stole his book. She
stole
his book.
Owen is in his class, in his writing class that he teaches, and Owen lives with his mom, played by Anne Ramsey, the great Anne Ramsey.
She is great.
Also the mom in Goonies.
Yes, she is.
She's great. Academy Award nominated Anne Ramsey for this movie. She was nominated for an Oscar for Throw Momma from the Train, Mike.
She was great.
What are we doing?
You know my memory. I know some of her quotes just like that. And I probably haven't seen this movie in like 10 years.
So this movie is basically Strangers from a Train. Hitchcock's classic, Strangers from a Train. You kill my wife, I'll kill your boss. That's exchange. You kill my mom, I'll kill your ex-wife. That's the exchange, right? Crisscross, crisscross. Danny DeVito plays a bit of a Norman Bates in this movie. Like, yes, mama, mama's overbearing, domineering. He's beaten down. He's got dreams of her not being around anymore.
Owen's kind of the guy that you expect to be picked on, though. I
Yeah.
mean, this guy, he is highly annoying, following Billy Crystal. He tries writing this story, and as I mentioned, as a terrible mystery where there's only two people, a man with a hat and a man with a hat, and one person died. He had to figure out who did it.
Sure. No problem. Yeah, I mean, look, I hadn't seen this movie when it came out. This was the first time I saw it for this throwback.
That is crazy.
I really enjoyed it. And look, I mean, Strangers on a Train is one of my favorite Hitchcock films. And so this being basically a direct ripoff is cool. I'm not a big fan of Billy Crystal. I liked him in this movie. I liked Danny DeVito in this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Danny DeVito is a great director. I really love Death to Smoochy.
Sure.
That's one of my favorite dark comedies. He did Matilda. What else did he do?
He did
War of the
this.
Roses.
Ah, yes.
Which I remember seeing in the theaters.
Yeah.
I think Billy Crystal's sweaters
they
are a little
They were
outdated.
a character on their own. Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Well, you know what? I thought it was going to be sillier than this. Having never seen it, I just always equated like, this is just a silly film. It was fun.
I think Anne Ramsey really adds.
It blew my
to
mind
this
that she was
movie.
nominated for an Oscar that year. You know what? Well,
She's
you
got
know
her
who
ear
beat
cleaned
her
out.
out that year for Best Supporting Actress?
What's that?
Olympia Dukakis for Moonstruck.
Yeah.
What a year.
You know what? I've never seen that in full. I don't think I want to.
You don't need to.
right.
You're fine.
Cool.
You're fine. So that is our movie throwback. Go check out Throw Momma from the Train. Let's take a look ahead at what is going to be coming out the weekend of October 21st. We have 5 movies on the marquee that week, Mike. It's going to be a full house. Are any of them going to be good? We'll find out. The first one we have is Boo! A Medea Halloween. Hello.
All right. Well, on to our next movie.
Let me just tell you this. I have never seen a Medea movie. Not one.
Really?
Yep. I saw Mrs. Doubtfire. I think I'm good. I think that's all I need.
I've seen bits and parts, and I'm not impressed at all.
Well, you're going to see this one. The next one we have is I'm Not Ashamed, based on a true story set against the events of Columbine. We'll see. The next one we have, I'm looking for this movie because A, I enjoyed the original, the first one, and B, I want this trailer to stop playing in the theater for me. That is Jack Reacher 2.
Oh.
Because I've seen that trailer a jillion times.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're looking forward to it. That's
I am.
nice.
I really love the first Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this one is just as good as the first one.
I can't get into Tom Cruise anymore.
Oh boy, he's so good. He hasn't missed in a decade. No misses. It's just nothing but nice ground rule
You
doubles.
saw the Mission Impossible?
Love them.
Love them all.
Love them.
Okay.
I think they've gotten better and better.
Oh, gee.
No joke. They are really good. The next one we have is Keeping Up with the Joneses. Zach Galifianakis and Isla Fisher star as a couple who moves into a neighborhood. They're spying on their neighbors. What's going on over there? And you got John Hamm and Gal Gadot as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, basically. A couple of assassins, and hilarity might ensue.
This one looks funny. It kind of reminds me of The Burbs a little bit. If it's anything like The Burbs, I'll be happy.
All right.
And just throwing that out. If you haven't seen it, we'll maybe tell you to watch it.
We'll see. We will see. And finally, the last movie we have on the marquee that week will be Ouija 2.
Because that first one was great.
So good. So good. They were able to churn out another one a year later. That's the mark of quality.
Yeah. Well, who was the producer of that one?
No idea. Just some dude who really wants me to be in a lot of pain because I hate these movies. Yeah. That first one was not good.
Yeah, the producer, I believe, is the director of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
Fair enough, fair enough. So those are the movies that will be on the marquee. They'll be in theaters October 21st. Next week, we're going to be talking about The Accountant. Finally, this is the movie I've been waiting 10 months to see. I'm really excited for this. We also have a Kevin Hart What Now is playing in theaters.
Yeah. There's a possibility there's going to be one more in there.
Possibly. We might. We never know.
Yeah, it will be a surprise to both of us.
It very well could be. Before we leave you, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We do appreciate it. The Palace is an amazing place to check out. If you want to find more from us, you can always find us on Facebook and Twitter at Real Reviews TV. We'll get you where you need to go. Check us out, ksun.tv. Go on there. You can find all of our back episodes as well as all the content that's here on our channel. And what else? That's all I got.
Hey,
find us on the radio, 103.5 The Sun. Hey, check it out.
Yeah, and we're on Facebook too.
And
we're going to talk really fast.
Let's wrap it up, Mike. Until next week, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.